I stop dead in my tracks, my breath catching in my throat. My enhanced senses are screaming at me that I'm not alone, that someone is out there. I scan the trees, trying to pinpoint the source of this feeling, but I can't see anything. Just shadows and fading light, and the endless stretch of forest. It started with dreams. Vivid, intense dreams where I was running through forests under a full moon, where I could smell things I'd never smelled before, earth and pine, and something wild and alive. I'd wake up with my heart racing, my sheets soaked with sweat, and this strange ache in my muscles like I'd actually been running all night. Then came the cravings. Suddenly, I couldn't stand the smell of cooked meat, but raw steak? God, I found myself standing in the grocery store, staring at the meat counter, my mouth literally watering. That should have been my first clue that something was seriously wrong. But the real wake-up call came 3 months ago, on the night of the full moon in September. I was walking home from work. Stupid decision, I know that now. Taking a shortcut through the park because I was running late and my phone was dead and I just wanted to get home. And that's when I felt it. This pull. Like something inside my chest was being yanked toward the moon hanging fat and silver in the sky. I looked up, and it was like the moon was looking back at me, seeing me, calling to something deep inside that I didn't even know existed. The pain started immediately. It felt like every bone in my body was breaking and reforming, like my DNA was rewriting itself in real time, like I was being torn apart from the inside out. I collapsed right there on the path, screaming, certain I was dying. My skin felt too tight, my bones felt too long, and there was this fire burning through my veins that made me want to claw my way out of my own body. I don't remember much after that. Just fragments. The smell of blood. The taste of something metallic and raw. The feeling of running faster than I'd ever run in my life. My hands and feet pounding against the ground in a rhythm that felt both foreign and ancient. When I woke up the next morning, I was in an alley 3 miles from where I'd collapsed. I was naked, shivering, covered in dirt and blood that I prayed wasn't human. My clothes were shredded, scattered around me in pieces. And I just knew that I'd shifted. That I'd become something else. Something not human. I spent the next 3 days in complete denial, locked in my apartment, refusing to believe what had happened. But then I started researching. Werewolves. Shifters. Lycanthropy. And the more I read, the more everything clicked into place. The dreams. The cravings. The full moon. I was a werewolf. Somehow, someway, I'd become a monster. And that's when the fear really set in. Because if I could shift once, I could shift again. And I had no idea how to control it, how to stop it, how to make sure I didn't hurt anyone. So I did the only thing I could think of. I ran. I quit my job via email, packed a bag, and started moving. I've been running for 3 months now, staying in cheap motels and abandoned cabins, always moving before the full moon, always trying to find somewhere isolated where I couldn't hurt anyone when the transformation took over. And let me tell you, each month it gets worse, stronger, more violent. The first time, I barely remembered anything. The second time, I remembered the shift itself, the agony, the loss of control. By the third time, I could feel my humanity slipping away as the wolf took over, and that terrified me more than anything. So that's what brings me here, to this particular stretch of wilderness in the Pacific Northwest. I've been hiding in an abandoned hunting cabin for 2 weeks, and I finally worked up the courage, or maybe the desperation, to make my move. My plan is simple. Get through the forest to the logging road, hitch a ride to the nearest city before sunset, and lose myself in the crowds where my scent will be masked by thousands of humans. Simple.
Clean.
Foolproof. Except here's the thing about the supernatural world. Nothing is ever simple. Nothing is ever clean. And absolutely nothing is foolproof. So there I was, convinced I had it all figured out. I checked my watch at least 100 times. Sunset was in 43 minutes. The full moon would rise about 20 minutes after that. I had time. Not a lot of time, but enough. I could make it. I'd learned to recognize the warning signs by now. The way my senses start to sharpen as the moon approaches, colors becoming more vivid, sounds more crisp, smells more intense. I could smell the deer that had passed by my cabin hours ago, could hear the heartbeat of a rabbit hiding in the underbrush 50 yards away, could feel the vibration of every footstep through the soles of my boots. It's intoxicating and horrifying in equal measure. Because with that power comes the knowledge that I'm losing myself, that the human part of me is getting smaller while something wild and primal is getting stronger. I shouldered my backpack and stepped out of the cabin, immediately scanning the tree line. The forest here is dense, ancient pines and Douglas firs creating a canopy so thick that even in daylight it feels like twilight beneath the branches. I'd memorized the route days ago. 2 miles through the forest to reach the logging road, then another mile along the road to the highway. 3 miles. 40 minutes. I could absolutely do this. I started moving, keeping my pace quick but controlled. Every snap of a twig under my boots sounds like a gunshot in the stillness. Every rustle of leaves makes my heart jump into my throat. I'm hyper-aware of everything around me, the way the light is changing, the cooling temperature, the tension building in my muscles. And then I feel it. This presence. Like I'm being watched. I stop dead in my tracks, my breath catching in my throat. My enhanced senses are screaming at me that I'm not alone, that someone is out there. I scan the trees, trying to pinpoint the source of this feeling, but I can't see anything. Just shadows and fading light, and the endless stretch of forest. You're imagining things, I whisper to myself, forcing my feet to keep moving. You're just scared. There's nothing there. But I know I'm lying to myself. Because one thing I've learned in these past 3 months is to trust my instincts. And my instincts are telling me that I'm being hunted. I pick up my pace, nearly jogging now, my backpack bouncing against my shoulders. The logging road should be just ahead, maybe another half mile. I can make it. I have to make it. And that's when he steps out of the shadows, directly into my path, and I slam to a halt, so suddenly I nearly fall forward. The first thing I notice is his size. He's tall, easily 6'3" or 6'4", with broad shoulders and a presence that seems to take up way more space than his actual body. He's wearing dark jeans and a black jacket, but what strikes me most are his eyes. They're this incredible amber color, almost glowing in the dim light, and they're fixed on me with an intensity that makes my skin prickle. The second thing I notice is that he's not surprised to see me. He was waiting. He knew I'd be here. Going somewhere? His voice is deep, with this rough edge that sends an unexpected shiver down my spine. My first instinct is to run. Just bolt to the left and hope I'm faster than he is. But something keeps me rooted to the spot. Maybe it's the way he's looking at me, like he can see right through every lie I've ever told myself. Or maybe it's the fact that every instinct I have is screaming that this man is dangerous in ways I don't fully understand yet. I'm just hiking, I stammer, which is possibly the worst lie I've ever told, considering I'm clearly terrified and it's almost sunset and I'm in the middle of nowhere. He doesn't smile, but something shifts in his expression, maybe amusement, maybe pity. You're a terrible liar, Lena. My blood runs cold. He knows my name. How does he know my name? Who are you? I manage to get the words out, even though my throat feels tight with fear. How do you know who I am? He takes a step closer, and I instinctively take a step back. My name is Kade, and I know exactly who you are, and what you're running from. The way he says it, so matter-of-fact, so certain, makes my chest tighten. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. Another step closer. His eyes haven't left mine for a second. You're a latent shifter. You've been hiding, running from pack to pack, trying to stay ahead of the full moon. But you can't run forever, Lena. Especially not tonight. Hearing it said out loud, hearing someone else acknowledge what I am, should terrify me. And it does. But there's also this strange sense of relief, because I've been carrying this secret alone for so long that part of me is exhausted from the weight of it. I just want to leave, I say, hating how my voice cracks. Please. Just let me go. I won't come back here. I won't cause any trouble. I just need to leave before the full moon rises, he finishes for me. Before you shift and lose control and possibly hurt someone. I know. But you can't leave, Lena.
Not yet.
It's not time. Not time? I can feel panic rising in my chest, making it hard to breathe. The moon is coming. I can feel it already, and if I don't get out of here, if I don't get somewhere safe. You are safe, he interrupts, his voice firm but not unkind. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You can't leave because I won't let you. I'm the Alpha Guardian of this territory, and I've been waiting for you. Waiting for me? That makes no sense. Why would you be waiting for me? I'm nobody. I'm just. You're the key to an ancient prophecy, he says, and the world seems to tilt slightly beneath my feet. And whether you believe it or not, whether you're ready or not, everything is about to change. For both of us. Things are about to get really crazy, and trust me, you don't want to be left out of the next part of this wild journey. You don't want to miss out on the next twist, do you? If you don't subscribe, you might just regret it when things go wild. I'm staring at him like he's lost his mind, because honestly, that's the only explanation that makes sense right now. Prophecy?
Key?
This has to be some kind of joke, or maybe I'm having a stress-induced hallucination from all the running and fear and lack of sleep. You're insane, I whisper, taking another step back. I don't know anything about any prophecy. I'm just trying to survive. But Kade doesn't look insane. He looks deadly serious, and there's something in his eyes, some mix of determination and resignation, that makes me think he's telling the truth. Or at least, what he believes is the truth. 300 years ago, he begins, his voice taking on this almost storytelling quality, the first Alpha Guardian made a prophecy. He said that one day, a latent shifter would emerge, someone with power unlike anything our kind had seen before. Someone who could either unite the packs or destroy them all. I'm shaking my head before he even finishes. That's not me. You've got the wrong person. I can barely control my own shifts, let alone. Do you know why you're a latent shifter, Lena? He cuts me off, taking another step closer. Do you know why you shifted for the first time at 27 instead of during puberty, like most of our kind? I don't answer because, honestly, I've wondered that same thing 100 times.
Why now?
Why me? Because your power needed time to develop, Kade continues. Most shifters can't handle the level of energy you carry. It would tear them apart.
But you?
You're different. You're stronger than you realize. And that's exactly what the prophecy predicted. This is too much. It's all too much. I can feel my heart racing, can feel the sun sinking lower, can feel that pressure building in my skull that tells me the moon is coming. I don't care about any prophecy, I say, my voice rising with panic. I just want to leave. I just want to be normal again. For the first time, something shifts in Kade's expression, something that looks almost like sympathy. I know. Believe me, I understand wanting to run from destiny. But normal isn't an option anymore. The moment you shifted, the moment your power awakened, you became part of something bigger than yourself. I didn't ask for this. The words burst out of me, carrying all the fear and frustration and grief I've been holding in for months. I didn't ask to be a monster. I didn't ask to have my entire life torn apart. I just wanted to stop. You're not a monster, Kade says, and there's such conviction in his voice that it almost makes me believe him. You're powerful. And yes, that's terrifying when you don't know how to control it. But that's why I'm here. That's why I've been tracking you, waiting for you to come to this territory. Because I can help you. I want to believe him. God, I want to believe him so badly. The idea of not being alone anymore, of having someone who understands, who can teach me how to control this thing inside me, it's everything I've desperately wanted for the past 3 months. But I've learned not to trust easily. Why would you help me? What do you get out of this? Kade's jaw tightens slightly, and I see something flicker across his face. Conflict. Maybe? Doubt? Because it's my duty. I'm the Alpha Guardian. I was born into this role, raised for it. And part of that duty is to protect the one the prophecy speaks of. To protect you. There's something in the way he says it. Something that makes me think there's more to this story than he's telling me. But before I can press him on it, I feel a sharp spike of pain in my chest, and I gasp, doubling over slightly. The sun has just dipped below the horizon. Lena? Kade is suddenly closer, his hand hovering near my shoulder, but not quite touching. What's happening? The moon. I grit out through clenched teeth. It's starting. I can feel it starting.
And I can.
That familiar, horrible sensation of my bones beginning to ache, of my skin feeling too tight, of something wild and feral stirring in the depths of my being. I have maybe 15 minutes before the transformation takes over completely. Listen to me, Kade says, his voice urgent now. I know you're scared, but you need to trust me. Let me help you through this. If you try to shift alone, without guidance, you could hurt yourself. Or worse. I've done it 3 times already. I managed to say, even though the pain is building with every passing second. I'll be fine. No, you won't. His hand finally makes contact, gripping my shoulder firmly. And the moment he touches me, something electric passes between us, something that has nothing to do with the approaching full moon, and everything to do with him, with us. I jerk my head up to look at him, and I can see in his eyes that he felt it too. That connection, that spark, that inexplicable pull that makes no sense but feels more real than anything I've experienced in months. What was that? I whisper. Kade's expression has shifted into something unreadable, but his hand is still on my shoulder, and I can feel the warmth of it even through my jacket. That, he says quietly, is the other part of the prophecy. The part one wasn't sure I believed until just now. The pain is getting worse, radiating out from my core in waves that make it hard to think, hard to focus on anything except the transformation that's approaching like a freight train. But even through the pain, I can't ignore the way Kade's touch feels, like an anchor, like something solid and real in a world that's been nothing but chaos and fear for months. What part? I force the words out, needing to know even though another wave of pain is building. What are you talking about? Kade's amber eyes search mine, and I can see the internal struggle playing out across his face.
He doesn't want to tell me.
Whatever this is, he's been carrying it as a burden, a secret, maybe even a fear. The prophecy doesn't just speak of a powerful latent shifter, he finally says. It speaks of a bond, a connection between the shifter and the Alpha Guardian, a connection that's complicated. Even through my pain-hazed brain, I understand what he's not saying. You mean like a mate bond? The word feels strange on my tongue, but I've done enough research over the past 3 months to understand the basics of werewolf culture. Mate bonds are rare, sacred, and according to everything I've read, absolutely unbreakable. Not exactly, Kade says, but I can hear the uncertainty in his voice. More like a destiny bond. The prophecy says that the guardian and the shifter would be tied together, their fates intertwined. But it doesn't specify how or why or what that means. Another spike of pain shoots through me, and I cry out, my legs buckling. Kade catches me immediately, his strong arms wrapping around me to keep me from falling. And the moment he's holding me, the pain lessens slightly, not disappearing, but becoming more bearable, like his presence is somehow dampening the worst of it. How are you doing that? I gasp against his chest, my hands gripping his jacket to keep myself steady. I don't know, he admits, and I can hear his heart hammering beneath my ear. This shouldn't be possible. An alpha can help pack members through a shift, but you're not pack. You're not bound to me in any way, except the prophecy. I finish for him. If you don't subscribe now, you'll never know how this intense love story ends, and trust me, you're not going to want to miss it. Just subscribe now and continue this journey with me. We're standing there in the middle of the forest, the last light fading from the sky, and I'm in his arms like it's the most natural thing in the world. And maybe it is. Maybe this connection, this pull I'm feeling toward him, isn't just fear or desperation or my wolf recognizing another shifter. Maybe it really is something more. But I can't think about that right now. Can't process what it might mean. Because the moon is rising, and I can feel my control starting to slip. I need to shift, I say, pulling back slightly to look up at him. It's going to happen whether I want it to or not. You should go. Get somewhere safe before. I'm not leaving you. The firmness in his voice leaves no room for argument. That's not how this works. I'm the Alpha Guardian, and whether you accept it or not, you're under my protection now. I'm going to help you through this shift, and then we're going to talk about what happens next. Part of me wants to argue, to insist that I don't need his help, that I've been handling this alone, and I can continue to handle it alone. But a larger part of me, the part that's been terrified and lonely and desperate for someone who understands, wants nothing more than to accept his offer. I don't know how to control it, I admit, the words barely more than a whisper. When the wolf takes over, I lose myself. I don't remember anything afterward, and I'm terrified of what I might do, who I might hurt. Then let me be your anchor, Kade says, and there's such certainty in his voice that I almost believe he can do exactly that. Focus on me, on my voice, my scent, my presence. Don't fight the shift. Fighting it only makes it worse. But don't let the wolf take complete control either. Find the balance between human and wolf, and stay there with me. I don't know if I can. I say honestly, even as I feel my bones beginning to shift beneath my skin. You can. His hands frame my face, tilting my head so I'm forced to look directly into those intense amber eyes. You're stronger than you think, Lena. The prophecy chose you for a reason. Your power chose you for a reason. Trust yourself. Trust your wolf. And trust me to guide you through this. The moon breaks over the horizon, and I feel it like a physical force, pulling at something deep inside me. The pain intensifies, my vision blurs, and I can feel my body beginning the transformation. But through it all, I keep my eyes locked on Kade's, using him as that anchor he promised to be. That's it, he murmurs, his voice low and soothing even as my bones crack and reform. Don't fight it. Let it happen, but stay with me. Stay present. You're in control here, not the wolf. You decide how much power it has. It's the worst pain I've ever experienced, but somehow, with Kade here, it's also different from the previous times. Before, I fought the shift every step of the way, terrified of what I'd become. But now, with his voice in my ear and his sense surrounding me and his presence keeping me grounded, I'm able to surrender to it without surrendering myself. My body shifts, changes, transforms. I can feel fur sprouting across my skin, feel my face elongating into a muzzle, feel my hands and feet reshaping into paws.
But I also feel me.
My consciousness doesn't disappear into that wild, feral place it went before. Instead, I'm still here, still aware, still Lena, even as my physical form becomes something else entirely. When the transformation is complete, I'm standing on 4 legs instead of 2, looking up at Kade from a much lower vantage point. My wolf form is smaller than I expected, more like a large dog than the massive creatures I've seen in movies. My fur is dark brown with streaks of silver, and I can see my reflection in Kade's eyes. There you are, he says softly, a hint of wonder in his voice.
See?
You did it. You shifted without losing yourself.
And he's right. I'm still me.
I can think, can understand, can feel everything with a clarity I've never experienced before. The world is brighter in this form, more vivid. I can smell things I never knew existed, layers upon layers of scent that tell stories about every creature that's passed through this forest. I can hear the heartbeat of animals miles away, can feel the vibration of the earth beneath my paws. But most importantly, I'm in control. The wolf is here. I can feel her presence, her instincts, her wild nature, but she's not drowning out my humanity. We're existing together, balanced whole. Kade kneels down in front of me, bringing himself closer to my eye level. How do you feel? I can't respond in words. Vocal cords don't work the same way in this form, but I try to project the feeling through our connection.
Amazed. Relieved.
Still terrified, but also powerful. For the first time since this all started, I feel powerful instead of helpless. Good, he says, and I swear there's pride in his voice. That's exactly how you should feel. This is who you are, Lena. Not a monster. Not a curse. A shifter. And a damn powerful one at that. He stands up, and for a moment I think he's going to leave me here, but instead, he starts stripping off his jacket. Then his shirt. And I realize with a jolt what's about to happen. I'm going to shift too, he explains, his hands moving to his belt. It'll be easier to communicate this way, and you need to experience what it's like to run with another wolf. To understand that you're not alone in this anymore. I want to look away as he undresses, some lingering sense of human modesty, but my wolf is fascinated, watching every movement with intense focus. And I have to admit, even in my shifted form, I can appreciate that Kade is, well, he's built like someone who was born to be an alpha. All muscle and strength and barely contained power. Then he shifts, and it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Unlike my transformation, which was painful and awkward and took several minutes, Kade's shift is fluid and graceful. One moment he's human, the next he's a massive wolf, easily twice my size, with thick black fur and those same amber eyes that seem to see right through me. He approaches slowly, giving me time to adjust to his presence. And I realize that I'm not afraid. Even though he's clearly an apex predator, even though he could tear me apart without breaking a sweat, I feel safe with him. Protected. He lowers his head, touching his nose to mine in what I instinctively understand is a gesture of pack bonding. Then he steps back and tilts his head toward the forest, and clear invitation. I can feel the connection between you and Kade. Don't you want to see how it plays out? Subscribe now or risk missing the emotional roller coaster ahead. Run with me. And suddenly I want nothing more than to do exactly that. To run through these woods with Kade beside me, to experience the freedom and power of this form without the fear and isolation I felt during my previous shifts. So I do. We run. And oh my God, it's nothing like I imagined. Every other time I've shifted, I've either been unconscious for most of it or so consumed by fear and pain that I couldn't appreciate what this body could do. But now, with Kade beside me and my consciousness fully present, I finally understand what it means to be a wolf. The forest blurs past us as we run, our paws eating up the ground in a rhythm that feels ancient and right. I can feel every muscle in my body working in perfect harmony, can sense the power coiled in my limbs ready to explode into even greater speed if needed. The wind rushes through my fur, carrying 1,000 different scents that paint a complete picture of the world around us. Kade matches his pace to mine, never getting too far ahead, occasionally bumping his shoulder against mine in what feels like encouragement or maybe just connection. And through it all, I feel this thread between us, not physical, but definitely real, like we're linked in some fundamental way that goes beyond just running through the same forest. We must run for an hour, maybe more. Time feels different in this form, less linear, more focused on the present moment. Eventually, Kade leads us to a clearing where a small stream cuts through the rocks, and we both stop to drink. The water is cold and clean, and it tastes better than anything I've ever experienced as a human. When I lift my head from the stream, Kade is watching me with those intense amber eyes, and even in wolf form, I can sense the weight of what he wants to say. He shifts back to human form, and after a moment's hesitation, I do the same. The transformation back is easier than becoming a wolf, though no less strange. My bones shift and reform, my fur receding back into skin, my muzzle shortening into a human face. And then I'm me again, naked and shivering in the cool night air. Kade immediately strips off his jacket and drapes it around my shoulders, and I'm grateful for the warmth and the coverage. Thank you, I manage to say, my voice rough from disuse. How do you feel? He asks, the same question as before, but now I can answer properly. Different, I admit, pulling his jacket tighter around myself. Better. Before, shifting felt like dying and being reborn as something else. But this time it felt like becoming more myself, not less. Does that make sense? Perfect sense. Kade is pulling his shirt back on, giving me some semblance of privacy, even though we both know that modesty is kind of pointless among shifters. That's what it should feel like. The wolf isn't separate from you, Lena. It's part of you. When you fight against it, you're fighting against yourself. But when you accept it, embrace it, you become whole. I sit down on a nearby rock, trying to process everything that just happened. So, all those times before, when I woke up not remembering anything, You are letting the wolf take complete control because you were too afraid to stay present, Kade explains, sitting down on another rock across from me. It's a common defense mechanism for latent shifters. Your human mind couldn't handle the reality of what was happening, so it checked out completely. But now you know you can stay present. You can maintain control. Because you were there, I point out. What happens next month when I'm alone again? Something flashes across Kade's face, something that looks almost like pain. You won't be alone. That's what I've been trying to tell you. You can't keep running, Lena. You need training, guidance, a pack. You need. You. I finish for him, and the word hangs in the air between us, heavy with implications we both understand, but neither of us wants to address directly. Yes, he says finally, his eyes meeting mine with that same intensity one felt when we first touched. The prophecy binds us together. I'm meant to protect you, to guide you, to help you understand and control your power. But it's more than that. The bond, I whisper, remembering what he said before the shift. The connection we both felt when he touched me. Kade nods slowly. I've been the Alpha Guardian for 10 years. In that time, I've never felt anything like what I felt when I touched you. It's like you're part of me. Like I've been waiting for you my entire life, without even realizing it. My heart is racing, and it has nothing to do with the run we just completed. That's terrifying. I know, he says, and there's such raw honesty in his voice that it makes my chest ache. Believe me, I know.
I didn't want this.
I've dedicated my entire life to my duty, to being the guardian, and I've always known that relationships, connections, attachments, they all compromise that duty. But then you appeared, and suddenly everything I thought I knew is complicated. I supply when he trails off. Catastrophically complicated, he agrees, a hint of dark humor in his voice. Because it's not just that I'm attracted to you, though God knows I am. It's that I physically need to be near you. The thought of you leaving, of being out there alone and unprotected, it's like someone's tearing my chest open. And I know you feel it too. I could sense it when we were running, that pull between us. I can't deny it. Even though every logical part of my brain is screaming that this is too much, too fast, too intense. I do feel it. But Kade, I don't know you. We just met a few hours ago. This doesn't make any sense. The prophecy doesn't care about sense, he says flatly. It doesn't care about timing or logic or whether we're ready for this. It simply is.
And we
can either fight against it and make ourselves miserable, or we can accept it and figure out what it means together. The way he's looking at me, like I'm something precious and dangerous and absolutely essential, makes my skin feel too warm despite the cool night air. And what if I'm not ready to accept it? What if I need time to figure out who I am as a shifter before I can even think about whatever this is between us? I expect him to argue, to push, to use the prophecy as leverage to force me into something I'm not ready for. But instead, Kade just nods. Then we take time. I'm not going to force anything on you, Lena. The bond, the prophecy, my own feelings, none of that gives me the right to push you into something you're not comfortable with. But I am asking you to stay, to let me teach you, train you, help you understand your power. The rest, we can figure out the rest as we go. It's such a reasonable request. And yet, accepting it means accepting that my life as I knew it is over. No more running. No more hiding. No more pretending I'm normal or that I can go back to my safe, predictable existence in Seattle. What does training involve? I ask, stalling because I'm not ready to give him an answer yet. Learning to shift at will, not just during the full moon. Understanding your enhanced senses and how to use them. Physical combat training because there are things out there that will want to hurt you once they realize what you are. And he hesitates and I lean forward.
And what?
Understanding the full extent of your power, Kade says carefully. The prophecy speaks of abilities beyond normal shifters. I don't know exactly what that means yet, but we need to find out. Together. The word together sends a shiver through me that has nothing to do with the temperature. Because I realize that part of me, maybe a larger part than I want to admit, wants exactly that. Wants to stop running. Wants to have someone in my corner. wants to explore this impossible connection with the intense, brooding man sitting across from me. But I'm also terrified. I need to think about it. Fair enough, Kade says, standing up and offering me his hand. But you should know that there are others looking for you. Other packs who've heard rumors about the prophecy and want to either claim you for themselves or eliminate the threat you represent. You're safer here, in my territory, under my protection. I take his hand, letting him pull me to my feet, and that electric connection sparks between us again. Our eyes lock, and for a moment, I think he might kiss me. And God help me, I think I might let him. But instead, he steps back, putting distance between us even though I can tell it costs him. I have a cabin not far from here. You can stay the night, get some rest, and give me your answer in the morning. How does that sound? Okay, I hear myself saying, even though my brain is still screaming that I should run, that I should put as much distance between myself and this man and this prophecy as possible. But my heart, or maybe my wolf, knows better. Knows that running isn't an option anymore. Knows that my destiny, whatever it might be, is tied to Kade and this territory and the power I'm only beginning to understand. You've come this far. How could you not subscribe to see what happens next? Trust me, you'll want to be here to see how everything unfolds next. So I follow him through the forest, wearing nothing but his jacket, and try not to think about how natural it feels to be walking beside him. Try not to notice how my wolf is practically purring with contentment at his proximity. Try not to acknowledge the growing certainty that everything in my life has been leading to this moment, to this man, to this impossible and terrifying and thrilling new reality. Kade's cabin is nothing like I expected. When he said cabin, I pictured something rustic and basic, maybe a hunting shack with a wood stove and some sleeping bags. But this is a full house, beautifully constructed from timber and stone, with huge windows that would offer incredible views of the forest during the day. This is yours, I ask as he unlocks the door and ushers me inside. The territory provides it for the Alpha Guardian, he explains, flipping on lights to reveal a spacious open-concept living area with a modern kitchen, comfortable furniture, and a massive stone fireplace. I don't spend as much time here as I should. Usually I'm patrolling or dealing with pack business, but it's home. Home. The word makes something twist in my chest, because I haven't had a real home in months. Just a series of temporary shelters, each one abandoned before I could get too comfortable. There's a guest room upstairs, Kade continues, and I notice he's being careful not to get too close to me, like he's aware of the magnetic pull between us and determined to fight it. You can shower and I'll find you some clothes. They'll be too big, but better then. He gestures vaguely at me, and I realize I'm still wearing nothing but his jacket. He creeps up my cheeks, and suddenly I'm very aware of how naked I am under the soft leather. A shower sounds amazing, I admit. I've been living in that hunting cabin for 2 weeks with only a stream for bathing. I think I have twigs in my hair. Kade's lips quirk in something that might be a smile. Upstairs, second door on the right. Take your time. I'll make some food. You must be starving after the shift. And just like that, I realize I'm absolutely ravenous. Shifting apparently burns massive amounts of energy. Thank you. I head upstairs, following his directions to a surprisingly luxurious bathroom with a huge walk-in shower. For the next 20 minutes, I lose myself in the simple pleasure of hot water and actual soap, washing away weeks of dirt and fear and exhaustion. When I finally emerge, wrapped in a fluffy towel, I find a stack of clothes waiting for me on the bed in the guest room, a pair of sweatpants with a drawstring waist, a soft t-shirt, and thick socks. Everything is way too big, but I don't care. They're clean and comfortable, and they smell like Kade, which my wolf finds extremely satisfying. I head back downstairs to find Kade in the kitchen, cooking what appears to be an enormous amount of food. Eggs, bacon, toast, hash browns, enough to feed a small army. Shifter metabolism, he explains when he sees me staring. Trust me, you'll eat more than you think. He's right. When we finally sit down at the dining table, I demolish 2 full plates of food without pausing for breath. Kade watches with what might be amusement, working through his own impressive portions. Better, He asks when I finally lean back, feeling more full and satisfied than I have in weeks. So much better, I admit. I didn't realize how hungry I was. Shifting takes a lot out of you, especially the first few times. Your body is still adjusting. He pauses, then adds, "You did really well tonight, by the way. Most latent shifters can't maintain consciousness during their first guided shift. The fact that you did shows incredible mental strength." The compliment makes warmth bloom in my chest, which is ridiculous. I shouldn't care this much about his opinion, but I do. "I had a good anchor," I say softly, meeting his eyes across the table. The air between us shifts, becoming charged with the tension we've both been trying to ignore. Kade's jaw tightens, and I see his hands clench into fists on the table. "Lena," he says, my name coming out rough. "I need you to understand something. This bond between us, it's not just emotional. It's physical. And the more time we spend together, the stronger it's going to get. Right now, I'm fighting every instinct I have not to." He trails off, but I don't need him to finish. I can feel it too. This pull, this need, this desire that goes beyond anything I've ever experienced. "Not to what?" I ask, even though I know I'm playing with fire. His eyes meet mine, and they're practically glowing. "Not to claim you. To mark you as mine. To bind us together in every way possible."
My wolf wants that.
Hell, the human part of me wants it too. But I won't. Not until you're ready. Not until you fully understand what you're choosing. My heart is hammering in my chest, and I know I should be scared by the intensity of what he's saying. But instead, I'm intrigued, tempted. My wolf is pushing at the edges of my consciousness, urging me to close the distance between us, to give in to what we both clearly want. What if I'm never ready? I hear myself asking, what if the prophecy is wrong, or we're interpreting it wrong, and this bond isn't what we think it is? Pain flashes across Kade's face, so raw and real that it makes my chest ache. Then I'll live with it. I'll still protect you, still train you, still fulfill my duty as your guardian. But I'll do it from a distance if that's what you need. You do that? Even though it would hurt. Lena, I would do anything to keep you safe and happy. Even if that means staying away from you. That's what this bond means to me. Your well-being comes before my wants. And that's when I realize something crucial. Kade isn't trying to manipulate me or use the prophecy to pressure me into something I don't want. He genuinely cares about my choice, my agency, my comfort. Even though it's clearly tearing him apart to hold back, he's doing it because he respects me. I stand up from the table, and Kade tenses, probably expecting me to retreat to the guest room, to put physical distance between us. Instead, I walk around the table until I'm standing right in front of him. I'm scared, I admit, looking down at him. I'm terrified of this bond, of losing control, of becoming someone I don't recognize. But I'm also tired of running, tired of being alone, tired of fighting against something that feels inevitable. Kade stands slowly, bringing us face to face, close enough that I can feel the heat radiating from his body. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I'll stay. I'll train with you, learn from you. And as for the rest, maybe we can take it one day at a time. See where this goes without forcing anything." The relief and joy that flood Kade's expression make him look younger, less burdened. One day at a time. I can do that. We're standing so close now that I can count his heartbeats, can see the flecks of gold in his amber eyes. And I realize that I want him to kiss me, want to know what it feels like to give in to this connection, even just a little. But before I can act on that impulse, Kade steps back, putting safe distance between us again. "You should get some rest. Tomorrow we'll start your training, and I'll introduce you to a few trusted pack members. But for tonight, you need sleep." He's right, of course. My body is exhausted from the shift and the emotional roller coaster of this entire evening. But part of me is disappointed that he pulled away, even though I know it's probably for the best. "Okay," I say, heading toward the stairs. But at the bottom step, I pause and look back at him. "Kade,
Thank you for stopping me tonight.
For showing me that I don't have to be afraid of what I am." His expression softens. "Get some sleep, Lena. We have a lot of work ahead of us. I head upstairs, and as I climb into the comfortable bed in the guest room, I realize that for the first time in 3 months, I don't feel like I need to keep one eye open, ready to run at a moment's notice. For the first time, I feel safe. And it's all because of him. I wake to sunlight streaming through the windows and the smell of coffee wafting up from downstairs. For a blissful moment, I forget everything, forget that I'm a werewolf, forget the prophecy, forget the complicated bond with an intense alpha guardian. Then reality crashes back, and I sit up in bed, my heart racing. Did last night really happen? Did I really shift into a wolf and run through the forest with Kade? Did I really agree to stay, to train, to explore this connection between us? The oversized clothes I'm wearing, Kade's clothes still carrying his scent, confirm that yes, it all actually happened. This is my new reality. I take a few minutes to collect myself before heading downstairs. Kade is in the kitchen again, this time making what looks like an enormous breakfast spread. He's wearing jeans and a fitted black t-shirt that does absolutely nothing to hide his physique, and his dark hair is slightly damp like he just showered. "Morning," he says when he sees me, and there's a softness in his expression that wasn't there last night. "How'd you sleep?" "Better than I have in months," I admit, sliding onto one of the bar stools at the kitchen island. "Your guest bed is way more comfortable than the cot I've been using." He pours me a cup of coffee, somehow knowing without asking that I'd take it black. "Good.
You needed the rest."
Shifting takes a lot out of you, especially the first time you do it consciously. I wrap my hands around the warm mug, letting the heat seep into my palms. In the morning light, with the immediate danger of the full moon past, I can think more clearly about everything that happened, about what I agreed to. So, I start, not quite sure how to phrase what I'm thinking. "About this training you mentioned." "We'll start today," Kade says, flipping what appears to be pancakes. "Basic stuff first, learning to shift at will instead of only during the full moon, controlling your enhanced senses so they don't overwhelm you, understanding pack dynamics and supernatural politics." "Supernatural politics?" I repeat, raising an eyebrow. He gives me a wry smile. "You didn't think werewolves were the only supernatural creatures out there, did you? There's a whole world you don't know about yet, Lena. Vampires, witches, fae, demons, all of them real. All of them with their own territories and rules and agendas. Part of my job as Alpha Guardian is maintaining the balance between species in this region." My coffee suddenly tastes bitter. "That's a lot." "I know. And I'm not going to dump it all on you at once. We'll take it slow, let you adjust to each new reality before moving on to the next." He slides a plate piled high with pancakes, eggs, and bacon in front of me. "But you need to understand that by agreeing to stay, by accepting your role in the prophecy, you've made yourself visible to powers that would rather you didn't exist." The casual way he says it makes my stomach clench. "Powers that want to kill me, you mean? Or control you," Kade says, his expression darkening. "Your power, according to the prophecy, could shift the balance of the entire supernatural world. There are those who would want to use that power for their own ends. And there are those who would rather eliminate the threat you represent before you can reach your full potential." I set down my fork, my appetite suddenly gone. "So, I traded one kind of danger for another." "No," Kade says firmly, coming around the island to stand beside me. "You traded running alone and terrified for standing your ground with protection and support. Yes, there are threats.
But
Now you have me, and you'll have the pack, and you'll have your own growing power to defend yourself. That's not the same as being hunted while helpless." He's right, logically. But emotionally, I'm still processing the fact that my life has become some kind of supernatural thriller where apparently multiple factions might want me dead or controlled. "Hey," Kade says softly, and I feel his hand cover mine on the counter. That electric connection sparks between us again, but this time it's comforting rather than overwhelming. "I know this is a lot, and I know you're scared, but I promise you, I will do everything in my power to keep you safe. That's not just my duty as the Alpha Guardian, it's my promise to you, as whatever we're becoming to each other." I look up at him, at those intense amber eyes that seem to see straight through every defense I've ever built. What are we becoming?
I don't know yet, he admits.
The prophecy speaks of a bond, but it doesn't define what kind. All I know is that when I look at you, when I touch you, I feel like I've found something I didn't even know I was missing. And that terrifies me almost as much as it does you. The honesty in his voice, the vulnerability, makes something in my chest crack open. Because he's right. We're both scared. We're both out of our depth. But maybe that's okay. Maybe we can figure this out together. One day at a time. I remind him, echoing what I said last night. He nods, giving my hand a gentle squeeze before stepping back. One day at a time. Starting with breakfast and basic shifting practice. Sound good? Sounds terrifying and impossible and completely insane. I say, but I'm smiling. So, yeah, let's do it. After breakfast, Kade leads me out to a clearing behind his cabin. It's a perfect natural amphitheater, surrounded by trees but open to the sky, with soft grass underfoot. Okay, he says, standing in the center of the clearing. First lesson, shifting at will. Last night, you shifted because the full moon forced it. But true control means being able to shift whenever you choose, regardless of the lunar cycle. I look down at the clothes I'm wearing, his clothes, which I'd rather not destroy. Should I? Might want to step behind that tree first, he says with a slight smirk. Shifting gets easier with practice, but right now you'll shred anything you're wearing. I duck behind a large pine, stripping down and folding the clothes carefully. When I step back into the clearing, naked and vulnerable, Kade's expression remains completely neutral, professional, almost clinical. But I can see the tension in his jaw, the way his hands clench into fists at his sides. Close your eyes, he instructs. Feel for your wolf. She's there, always there, just beneath the surface. Last night, the full moon pulled her out. This time, you're going to call to her yourself. I close my eyes, trying to sense what he's talking about. At first, I feel nothing except self-conscious and cold. But then, as I focus inward, I feel it. A presence at the edges of my consciousness. My wolf, waiting. I feel her. I whisper.
Good.
Now don't force it. Invite her. Let the transformation flow instead of fighting against it. I reach out mentally to that presence, and she responds immediately, surging forward with an eagerness that startles me. The shift begins, but this time it's different from last night. Faster. Smoother. Like my body is remembering how to do this, finding its rhythm. But halfway through, something goes wrong. The transformation stutters, my bones caught between human and wolf, and pain explodes through me. I cry out, collapsing to my knees. Stay calm. Kade's voice cuts through the pain. You're fighting her again. Trust the process, Lena. Let go. I force myself to breathe, to stop trying to control every aspect of the shift. And when I finally surrender, when I let my wolf take what she needs, the transformation completes in a rush of sensation. I'm on 4 paws again, panting slightly from the exertion, but I did it. I shifted without the full moon. Excellent, Kade says, and I can hear the pride in his voice. Now shift back. Back. I barely figured out how to shift in the first place, and he wants me to reverse it already? But I try, reaching for my human form the same way I reached for my wolf. It's harder, more resistant, like the wolf doesn't want to give up control now that she's finally free. But I persist, and slowly, painfully, I feel myself changing back. When I'm human again, I'm exhausted, shaking, and covered in sweat. Kade is immediately there, wrapping a blanket around my shoulders. That was incredible for your first attempt, he says. Most shifters take weeks to manage their first voluntary shift. You did it in 1 try. It hurt. I gasp out, still trembling. It will for a while. But every time you do it, it'll get easier. Your body will learn, will remember. Eventually, you'll be able to shift in seconds without any pain at all. He helps me back to the cabin, lets me shower and change into fresh clothes, more of his oversized shirts and sweatpants, and then insists I rest for an hour before we continue training. When I come back downstairs, feeling marginally more human, I find him in the living room with what appears to be a stack of old books and documents. What's all this? I ask, curling up on the opposite end of the couch from him.
Research, he says.
About the prophecy, about latent shifters, about you. I've been collecting information for years, waiting for the prophecy to manifest. Now that you're here, we need to understand exactly what we're dealing with. He hands me one of the books, ancient, bound in leather that's cracked with age. I open it carefully to find handwritten text in a language I don't recognize. I can't read this. It's Old Tongue, the original werewolf language. But look at this passage. He points to a section he's marked with a slip of paper. Beneath the foreign text is a translation in Kade's handwriting. The one who walks between worlds will carry the power of the ancients, dormant until awakened by the blood moon. She will unite or destroy, save or damn, depending on the strength of her bond to the guardian. Chills run down my spine. That's about me? I believe so. The blood moon, that's a rare lunar event when the moon appears red during an eclipse. The next one happens in 3 months. 3 months. I repeat, my mouth suddenly dry. And what happens then?
I don't know, Kade admits.
The prophecy is frustratingly vague about the details, but it's clear that your power will fully manifest during the blood moon and that whatever happens then will have massive consequences for the supernatural world. I close the book carefully, my hands shaking. So I have 3 months to figure out how to control powers I don't understand, or I might accidentally destroy everything? Or save everything, Kade points out. The prophecy goes both ways. You have the potential for incredible good, Lena. That's why I'm here, to help you realize that potential, to make sure that when the blood moon comes, you're ready for whatever it brings. I want to throw the book across the room, to scream that this isn't fair, that I never asked for any of this. But I can see in Kade's eyes that he knows exactly how I feel. He didn't ask for this either, didn't ask to be bound to a woman he barely knows, didn't ask to have his entire existence revolve around an ancient prophecy. Tell me about your life, I say suddenly. Before me, before you became the Alpha Guardian. Who were you? Kade looks surprised by the question, like no one's asked him about himself in a long time. I was born into this role. My father was the Alpha Guardian before me, and his father before him. It's a bloodline position, passed down through generations. I've been training for this since I could walk. That sounds lonely. Something flickers in his expression. Pain, maybe, or resignation.
It was. Is.
Being the guardian means standing apart from the pack, being responsible for everyone but close to no one. Attachments are complicated when your duty might require you to sacrifice anything or anyone for the greater good. Is that why you've never? I trail off, not sure how to finish the question without being too personal. But Kade understands. Why I've never bonded with anyone. Yes, I've had relationships, I suppose. But nothing serious. Nothing that could compromise my judgment or my duty. Until me. I finish softly. Our eyes meet across the couch, and I feel that pull again, that magnetic attraction that seems to defy logic and reason. I should be focusing on learning to control my powers, on understanding the prophecy, on preparing for whatever's coming in 3 months. But all I can think about is how much I want to close the distance between us, to see what would happen if we stopped fighting this connection and just gave into it. Kade seems to be thinking the same thing because he shifts slightly closer on the couch. Lena, I need you to understand something. This bond between us, it's not just inconvenient. It's dangerous. If our enemies figured out how much you mean to me, they could use you against me, against the territory, against everyone I'm sworn to protect. So, what are you saying? That we can never? I can't finish the sentence, can't voice the disappointment that crashes through me. I'm saying we need to be careful.
Strategic.
We can't afford to be reckless, no matter how much we might want to. He reaches out, his hand hovering near mine on the couch cushion, but not quite touching. But that doesn't mean we have to deny what's happening between us. It just means we have to be smart about it. I look down at his hand, so close to mine, and I make a decision. I close the distance, lacing my fingers through his, and feel that electric shock of connection. One day at a time, I remind him for the third time. We'll figure this out one day at a time. His hand tightens around mine, and the look he gives me is so intense it steals my breath. One day at a time, he agrees. And for now, in this moment, that's enough. We spend the next week in a routine that becomes almost comfortable. Mornings are for physical training, shifting practice, hand-to-hand combat, learning to use my enhanced senses without becoming overwhelmed. Afternoons are for studying the prophecy, learning about supernatural politics, understanding the complex web of alliances and enemies that I've apparently become part of. And evenings are for us. We don't talk about it explicitly, but after dinner each night, we end up on the couch together, gradually sitting closer and closer, eventually with my head on his shoulder or his arm around my waist. We talk about everything, our childhoods, our fears, our dreams for the future. Small touches become common. His hand on the small of my back as he guides me through a training exercise, my fingers brushing his when we pass books back and forth, lingering looks that carry more weight than words ever could. The bond between us grows stronger every day, and it's both thrilling and terrifying. Because the more connected we become, the more I have to lose if something goes wrong. On the 8th day, everything changes. I'm in the middle of a shifting exercise. I can now transform in under a minute with minimal pain when Kade suddenly tenses, his head snapping toward the tree line. What is it? I ask, still in wolf form. He doesn't answer, just shifts himself in a fluid motion that I'm insanely jealous of. Then he's moving toward the edge of the clearing, every line of his body radiating tension and threat. I follow, my wolf's instinct screaming that something is wrong. And then I smell it, other wolves. Multiple wolves. And they're close. 3 large wolves emerge from the trees, and even in my limited experience, I can tell they're dangerous. They're bigger than me, with scars that speak of battles fought and won, and they're moving with the coordinated precision of trained fighters. Kade plants himself between me and the intruders, his body language clearly saying, "You'll have to go through me to get to her." One of the wolves shifts, a tall, scarred man with cold eyes and a cruel smile. Alpha Guardian Kade. It's been a while. Marcus. Kade's voice is ice. You're trespassing. Am I? Marcus's smile widens. Or am I simply investigating rumors about a certain prophecy? About a latent shifter with extraordinary power? His eyes slide past Kade to me. She doesn't look like much. I feel Kade's growl rumble through the ground beneath my paws.
Leave. Now.
Before I make you. So protective, Marcus muses. Interesting. The rumors said the Alpha Guardian had bonded with a prophecy shifter, but I didn't believe it. You, of all people, compromised by a connection? How disappointing. This is your last warning, Kade says, and I can see his muscles tensing, preparing for a fight. Marcus's expression hardens. The council will hear about this. They won't be pleased to know that the Guardian is compromised. And as for your little pet, his eyes lock on me again. Well, let's just say there are those who believe the prophecy is too dangerous to be allowed to come to fruition. Better to eliminate the threat now than risk catastrophe later. Then he shifts, and his 2 companions follow suit, and suddenly the clearing erupts into violence. Kade meets them head-on, moving with a speed and ferocity that takes my breath away. He's magnificent in battle, all power and precision, every movement calculated to inflict maximum damage while protecting me behind him. But he's outnumbered, and I can see that even as skilled as he is, 3 against 1 isn't sustainable. My wolf surges forward, ready to help, but I hesitate. I've never fought anyone before.
I don't know how.
What if I mess up? What if I get in Kade's way and make things worse? Then I see one of the attackers break away from the main fight, circling around to get to me directly, and instinct takes over. I meet him mid-leap, and we collide in a tangle of fur and teeth. Pain explodes through my shoulder as his jaws find purchase, but my wolf responds with a fury I didn't know I possessed. We roll across the clearing, snapping and clawing, and I'm operating purely on instinct, no training, no strategy, just raw survival need. Somehow, impossibly, I manage to get my jaws around his throat. I taste blood, hear him yelp, and then he's scrambling backward, retreating. I stand there, shaking, blood dripping from my shoulder, and watch as Kade drives off the other two attackers. They retreat into the forest, and Marcus's parting words echo through the clearing. The council will hear of this. Both of you have made powerful enemies today. Then they're gone, leaving just me and Kade, both bloodied and panting in the afternoon light. Kade shifts immediately, rushing to my side. "Let me see," he says, his hands gentle as they examine the bite on my shoulder. I shift back too, hissing as the wound becomes more apparent in my human form. Deep punctures, bleeding freely, throbbing with every heartbeat. "Come on," Kade says, helping me to my feet. "We need to get you inside and treat this." As he leads me back to the cabin, one arm supporting me, I finally ask the question I've been dreading. "Who was that? Who's the council?" And Kade's expression, when he looks at me, is filled with a dread that makes my blood run cold. "That," he says quietly, "was Marcus Darkwater, one of the most dangerous alpha in the Northwest. And the council? They're the governing body for all werewolf packs in North America. And if he's telling them about you, about us, about the prophecy..." He doesn't finish, but he doesn't need to. I understand perfectly. The real danger is just beginning. If you love drama, suspense, and romance as much as I do, you have to hit that subscribe button. Don't miss the next shocking twist.